India's economic growth numbers adjusted for the base year of 2012 show that the expansion was marginally higher under the Congress period. The new series is after the economic picked up the pace in fiscal year of 2004 and generally the lower in preceding years. The numbers have been calculated with a committee set by the National Statistical Commission of India, and the former chief statistician Pronab Sen said that the exercise was a good start but that more work was needed. The report shows the real GDP growth touching a high of 10.08% in 2006-2007 in terms of factor cost, the highest since the liberalisation of the economy in 1991, and the second highest ever behind 10.2 during the Rajiv Gandhi administration in 1988-89. Under the old series, growth in 2006-07 was 9.57. In terms of market prices, the growth rate was 10.78 in 2010 and 2011. The new GDP series of the fiscal year of 2012 as the base year was begun in 2015 and follows internationally accepted methods based on the market prices as opposed to the factor cost. The method followed earlier and uses corporate numbers to estimate the manufacturing output. The committee has issued the adjusted numbers for 1994 to 2014 period.
I won't read the table, but I'll point out the averages. NDA 1 average was 5.68%. UPA 1 average was 8.36%. UPA 2 average was 7.68%. And NDA 2 so far the average is 7.33%.
The average growth in the first 5-year term of Congress-led United Progress Alliance, or the UPA, in the fiscal year of 2005 to 2009 goes up under the new series to 8.37 from 8.03% earlier in the terms of market prices. In terms of factor cost, the increase is from 8.43 to 8.87% average growth during the preceding Bharatiya Janata Party led by the National Democratic Alliance administration is down marginally from 5.89% to 5.73%. In terms of factor cost, the decline was from 6.01% to 5.83%. In the first 3 years of UPA's 2 or the Congress period in fiscal year of 2010 and 2012, the average growth rate goes up from 8.46 to 8.86%. In terms of factor cost, the revision is from above 8.06% to 8.49%. The growth data based on the old series is available till fiscal year of 2012, while the revised series is still the fiscal year of 2014. The Congress party said that the growth numbers were better under UPA. It proves that like for like, the economic growth under both the UPA terms of 10 years of average is 8.1%, which clearly outperformed Modi government with the average of 7.3% that party's official handed Twitter tweeted. The UPA also delivered the only instance of double-digit annual growth in modern Indian history. So what do you think of the Manmohan growth under the Manmohan Singh as the Prime Minister and under the Congress period, which was never been done by a good economic preceded government in its history of India, while the Modi government led by India, which is clearly showing an undevelopment of India's growth in its economy and will not happen anytime soon or will never happen during Modi's period with a great economic growth. And this is the real truth that Modi will not be re-elected, or he is losing so much fast in India's pace of growing economy and his political leadership. In New Delhi, with the US imposing additional 25% duty on the imports worth $34 billion from China, certain Indian products may become more competitive. An analysis by the industry chamber revealed that India should focus on US market for items in the categories of machineries, electrical equipments, vehicles and transport parts, chemicals, plastics and rubber products. India can focus on numerous goods for expanding its exports to US and China. The markets following the hike in the duties by both the countries on imports from each other, said some officials. The top exports from India to US which are covered in the list of items for which the tariff have been hiked includes pumps, parts of military aircraft, parts for the electro-diagnostic apparatus, and passenger vehicles of 1500 to 3000 cc, valve bodies and parts of taps, said the chamber. Also, the exports of these items stood at over $50 million in 2017 according to some CIs, and can be increased with concentrated service and efforts. The countries such as Vietnam, Indonesia, Thailand and Malaysia have increased their exports of these products to US in recent years, said the chamber. Also, based on India's current exports to US in these categories, the products such as intermediate parts for the defense and the aerospace sector, the vehicles and auto parts, engineering goods, etc. have a higher potential for exports. The sectors like apparel and textiles, footwear, toys and games, and cell phone manufacturing are becoming competitive industry in India and needed to be encouraged. The chamber also suggested that the trade dialogue with the US should be strategized, taking into account that India's competitive advantages in these products. Moreover, the foreign direct investment from the US should be encouraged by boosting confidence of US firms in India's business climate. Also, the CI said, adding that this might necessitate addressing their concerns regarding non-tariff barrier in India for better long terms of outcomes. In the domestic industry, it stated that it is important for India to enhance the productivity while adding technology to its domestic products or productions in the identified products. CA explained that the 880 product lines where the US has raised tariff for imports from China. Between 2012 and 17, China's exports to US have moved up the value chain with accelerated growth in high technology items such as the telecommunication equipment, automotive, cell phones or mobile phones, etc. So what do you think of US in shock that India is gaining more and profiting more from US-China trade war? Does this the beginning of India gaining more attraction to the US and Chinese products trade war, or India is really losing at the back end? On businesses matter, the governments think wrong and do wrong frequently. They think right and do right a few times, and sometimes they think right but do horribly wrong, like the draft e-commerce policy driven by India a few days ago. The government wants locally owned or locally managed e-commerce success stories. That's right thinking. But the draft policy goes about this spectacularly wrong. If this is the final policy, India won't get what it should and will lose whatever it has. What India's e-commerce market has is plenty of foreign investment. What it should have while keeping foreign investments or investors interested are locally owned and managed competitors to firm back with outside capital. Given this, the draft is really smart on only one count: the suggestion that the startups can issue shares with differential voting rights. The aim is to provide Indian founders of a successful online venture more control over companies they have built, even if the foreign investors have put in the most of the capital. So a share owned by a founder will carry more weight than, say, a share owned by a Chinese venture capital firm. Shareholding structures that restrict voting rights of foreign investors are not unusual. Some hugely successful startups in US and China, the world's two largest internet economies, have shareholding rules that allows the founders with minority stock to call the shots. Will large investors lose interest if they can't be the boss of the company they put money in? Not at all. As is the case in China and the US, India can attract the large investors in e-commerce under rules that favor and more control for the local entrepreneurship, provided the rules on the investments are potentially high. So that was good thinking, right? Now for the really bad bits of the draft policy. China, North Korea and Cuba like socialism type restrictions on price strategies, a completely and needless additional layer of the regulations, silly does and don'ts on what can be sold and how, etc. etc. Space for this column is limited and silly suggestions about in the draft, so we will pick just an example to demonstrate our arguments. Take the recommendation that deep discounting, selling goods really cheap, must be a thorough discouraged. This seems aimed principally at pricing strategies of Amazon India and Walmart-owned Flipkart, the two American giants of India. Of course, Amazon India and the foreign investor controlled Flipkart use capital available from abroad to sell stuff really cheap in India. And of course, that's one of the big reasons they control nearly 3/4 of India's online market. But even locally backed and locally managed online shops would want to do the same thing. Deep discounting is an universal e-commerce strategy. It's employed to win customers' loyalty more in countries and many markets where online commerce is still a small part of the overall retail in India and larger countries. India's online retail is just 3% of the total retail sales with the brick and mortars or the shops which we call. Therefore, a policy that targets discounting will actually harm future local entrepreneurship, investors and FDI, and also India will lose whatever it has, and India might go between 50 to 60 years when British was ruling. People who made this recommendation forgot basic economies, which is the government intervention in pricing, especially in the consumer market pricing, always end up disastrously. The local startups won't flourish if they, as well as Flipkart and Amazon, can't sell products. A smarter way to level the playing field against the deep-pocketed foreign investors who can afford deep discounting is to have a policy that allows the firm to offer steep price cuts only when all or most of their capital is locally sourced. This will truly discourage the capital dumping from abroad without ridiculous interference in firm pricing strategies. These are just suggestions from economic experts and us. They are free to offer a deep discount, but the capital deployed in Amazon India or the Flipkart must be raised locally. They will compete with the local firms for capital, and they may actually attract more investor interest, but that's wholly fair. Amazon or Walmart won't like it, but they will have to balance their laws of capital dumping option against giving up on one of the world's most exciting and existing online marketplaces of India. That's smart policy making, but if the policy comes to life, Amazon Flipkart may rule out of India within 3 to 5 years with great loss, and no, there won't be any FDI. As of selling now, that FDI or the foreign investments won't be flourishing or coming into India or won't be going out of India anytime soon. And to the final note, there are many shoppers and even many grocery shoppers have websites and e-commerce where they delivery from their own hometown to other states and other districts. So do they come in this draft or they don't? Please post your comments below, and if you like this video, please give a thumbs up and follow us on social networks and subscribe to our channel. And thanks for watching. This is WC Daily. Think big, think different. Bye.